Hey there, Yusuf and Larry.
Hi, James. Hey, Yusuf.
I realized I did not put notes up from last meeting online and all the recording, and I don't think any of us have put up a agenda. So, we're all super organized. This is what happens when I take too long off work.
I mean, it shouldn't all be on you, James.
No, I know. I said I would take the notes last time, and then I also did that for the providers working group meeting and a bunch of other things, and I shouldn't have. Right. That's fine. We can make this up as we go. We'll just wait for people to come in. I think Igor is declined. RL is uncertain. We'll see. Everyone having a good day?
Yeah, how about you?
Not too bad.
It's been a great day.
I've been context switching all day as well, so my brain is dead. I've just started writing like a little gist for our agenda on here. I almost wrote TerraGrunt TSC Meeting because I've been talking about TerraGrunt today at Spacelift.
Oh, that's fun.
I'd love to say it's fun.
Are you having trouble with TerraGrunt?
You guys redesigned your entire CLI and everything.
What? Why would you do that?
Nah, there's no problem at Spacelift. It's just trying to make sure I'm dumping all of my knowledge about TerraGrunt and passing it on to other people. So,
In all seriousness, I'd love to chat with you after the TSC call, James.
sure, yeah, let's chat. I'd love to chat with you as well. So, it would be helpful. I can talk to you through what's going on.
Cool.
Cool. Right. We're 3 minutes past, 4 minutes past. Arl may not join. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to the agenda ad hoc? Because I don't think we have too much to discuss. I'm going to make sure I add these.
So I didn't attend the last whatever we're calling it, the like not providers working group.
Aha.
Did either of you join, Lawrence or Roger? Okay, so maybe we should have an update on that for the TSC.
Yeah, I can give an update on that one. So we have been collating notes in a tool called HackMD, which has been fantastic for collaborative markdown writing, because I don't think we're paying for Notion anymore internally. There were two efforts that spun off from the last meeting of the working group. One of the efforts was to collate a feature catalog, or everything that could be related to a new provider protocol or could require a new provider protocol. And the other effort was to discuss the actual protocol that we talk about. The protocol document, I will use the word protocol a lot here. The document that discusses how OpenTofu will talk to the provider was written, and we determined that it was a little bit useless. It was kind of like, what is a socket? And how does inter-process communication work? And it was quite generic, and we wanted to try and get a little bit further along with our design documents before we start talking about how we do things. We want to talk about why we do things. And so we are dropping that document for now, and we're going to be starting another document about how we release and distribute these providers. Do they go into the registry or not? How do we deal with things like security? I think Igor had some concerns about having a way for the people who run Tofu to say that you shouldn't be able to use certain types of providers. I think this is like to try and avoid people shipping malicious providers or doing something internally they shouldn't. So we're going to be discussing that. As for the feature catalog, this was a little bit too successful, I would say. in collating all of the issues. We're now trying to refine all of the issues. As you can see, this document is massive and had a lot of people's feedback. Christian, it's been trimmed down a little bit. We do have a summary section at the bottom, kind of organizing these things into different areas. So we organize the features into improving existing resource functionality in OpenTofu. So this is talking about auto importing, batch refreshing, drift detection rules and hints, doing reporting. We also had ways of improving the schema functionality. So allowing providers to define a type, allowing for provider-specific hints to language servers, improving existing miscellaneous functionality. So being able to do configured provider-defined functions in a nice way, to be able to key provider and methods to be able to define key providers and methods for state encryption in providers. So similar to backends as plugins, you could do this for key providers and methods. And the team is working through trying to write up the pros and cons of all of these features and collate feedback from both the Terraform and the OpenTofu repository, which is a lot of work. But it's good to have a big list of lots of different things and collate them all and discuss a solution rather than trying to find a reason for our predefined solution. Any questions? I just dumped a lot there. Sorry.
Yeah, some questions. So Dio tried to share this with me and I didn't have access to it. Could you share access to the folks on the call?
Yes, I can get you guys access. I think they're paid seats, so I'll just go and I'll send you guys access to this after this call. That's no problem.
If cost is the problem, that's totally understandable.
Cost is not the problem. It's just I can't just send you a link to email. Like I'll just I'll send it after this call. No problem.
And then the second thing is I was overwhelmed in the first call I joined, in that I didn't know what the parameters were of the thing that's being done here, and what the actionable things are that we want to accomplish with the working group to make it more tangible. Do we have a plan to get to move forward on that front?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's a little bit of an iterative plan. We're trying to feel out this working group and understand how the OpenTofu maintainers can have discussions about big picture things. So we're kind of getting a feel for how we're doing product management. It's a little bit undefined. We've tried to define some goals. I'll try and find those super quick, and I think they need to be refined. I think you called this out in the meeting, actually, that these goals were a little bit too much and that they need refining. And I agree. But I think my personal opinion is that I would love to be able to get I'm not going to say RFC, but a design doc for what we would like to have out of the providers, that we can turn into an RFC, but also use as engineers to make technical decisions on.
That's great. What we try to do internally is at Gruntwork is try to figure out what we're not going to do before we do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out what the edges are of what we're allowed to try to accomplish in the task. And then from there, you can work into getting something done. Yeah,
we loosely said what we're not going to be addressing, but we should define this a lot more. We should talk about So I like the idea of having product-minded engineers, and the maintainers. We have a great set of people who are product-minded, but I think we need to draw a line between what is a discussion about product development and end user experience, and what is a discussion about the technical feasibility or we got to stop talking about solutions and start talking about problems. So we'll carry on. I will say we had a trend of everybody updating the documents within a few hours of the working group meeting just before. So I suspect that there may be some slow movement on those documents until next Tuesday, when everyone thinks, oh God, it's the provider meeting today, I should do something.
Is that a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. I just wanted to give people a heads up. Okay. Cool. Any other questions about the working group?
No.
Okay, 1.11 release. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. So we're currently on version 1.10.6, I want to say. I was talking with the team earlier. We think it would be a good idea to do a beta of 1.11 this week. We have a couple documentation tasks that are left remaining. So we should be able to aim for a beta by the end of this week. I'll give more updates as we have them. We need to write a blog post about it still, but yeah, things are looking good. Ephemeral values is in there. In fact, I can go over if you want to see it. I'm not going to go issue by issue. Share this tab. You can go to our issues, milestones, 1.11. You can see what is remaining now is our release tracker, which is good. That's what we're doing for release. Conditional enabled field. This is something that Dio is working on. Just documentation is missing, as far as I'm aware. And there's a PR to be reviewed, actually, about implicit moving of module blocks. It's a bit complicated for me to describe without code examples, so we don't need to go into that today. But Dio's got a PR up for it. We've poked the team for the whole team for a review on this. And then the ephemeral resources and write-only arguments, the tracking RFC here only just has release as the last item that we need to be doing. So everything else that is in there is done and ready to go and documented as far as we're aware. So we should be good for a beta release. And the team will start work on 1.12. Which will be awesome. And I think actually that we've been discussing between the team, we may do a hackathon first week of November, I think it was.
Yes, November 3rd through November 7th, inclusive.
Yes. So we'll do a hackathon around then as well, try and get some creative juices flowing and improve the team camaraderie a little bit as well on the maintainer side. So that's everything about the 1.11 release. Does anyone have any questions about a 1.11 release?
No, I had one more thing I forgot to bring up regarding Terra and OpenTofu, and I can leave that to the end.
Okay. I think we're at the end.
Okay.
Unless Roger and Larry have anything, sorry.
I have a minor one, just as a footnote. I've not quite prepared to bring it up as an actual agenda item, but started this discussion in the internal Slack some weeks back before getting distracted. But the idea of we've a bunch of accounts all over the place. There's some money across the place. There's other coordination. Just in our current governance model.
Sorry, Roger, you're extremely quiet, and all of us are now like trying to get closer to our speakers and everything.
Sorry. See if I can actually adjust that.
You're a little bit better now, anyway. Now you're closer.
Started a conversation on our internal Slack some time ago, then got distracted around a bunch of the aside governance and where we kind of sit with that. So things like, some companies are paying for this, some other companies are paying for that, and just kind of making sure that we are on top of that from a central project or group. And it I guess falls out into other stuff as well. Like currently discussions with CNCF,
discussions with GitHub, discussions with VS Code. Basically the things that you wouldn't, that centralized, a centralized or like top-down direction would kind of have. By being decentralized, kind of all those go into the TSC committee. So the question then would be like, how do we make it so that this isn't all on James.
That's a very good point. So I can talk a little bit about how I try and make it so it's not all on me, and what I've planned. So I always try and make sure that if I am the admin or owner of an account, that preferably we have an admin or an owner from another organization as well. So a lot of the time, this is RL, who's been here for a while and has inherited a lot of this. When it comes to GitHub, all of the TSC are admin and things like this. One of the things that I do know is that the CNCF offers a subscription to 1Password, and I think we need a way to do this to be able to share some accounts, do things with service accounts, etc. I don't. So Spacelift is happy to go and pay for things, but I don't want it to look like Spacelift is hoarding the admin rights on everything. That's definitely the opposite of what I want to do. I'm trying to manage as much with infrastructure as code as I can as well. This is half done. We have an infrastructure repo. So our Cloudflare, AWS, Azure DevOps, and I tried to do Neon, but their provider is terrible. Is all managed through infrastructure as code because we don't have like a centralized Okta or single sign-on or anything like this set up. It's kind of difficult to go and set it up everywhere. Also, I don't think the companies want to pay for SSO tax.
What's the current?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. What's the current setup for the OpenTofu.org emails?
OpenTofu.org emails, administration, so ownership of the project, ownership of the organization, I believe, is between the Linux Foundation and Scalar. And then I have admin privileges to go and manage that as well. So it's between myself and Igor.
And so are those currently SSO enabled, or is something that a system that can use SSO?
Good question. I think you can sign in with the Google accounts on a lot of things.
Yes. This is Google Workspaces?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So then this is then it is SSO enabled with the OpenTofu.org things. Okay. All right. Would you like me to chase down things like SSO for Google Workspaces on OpenTofu.org and the 1Password?
There's no value in it. This is what I was trying to say. So we could do the 1Password thing, but then we're sharing an account and everyone gets admin privileges. And we probably shouldn't do that. We should do it for things like service accounts, which we already are trying to do anyway. So we have some GitHub service accounts. But when it comes to Google SSO, a lot of the tools that we're using, so AWS, Azure, Neon, Cloudflare, etc. Actually, Cloudflare is with Google, I believe.
AWS can plug into Google now.
Well, we could go and rework it, but we've got it all managed with infrastructure as code. Is there an advantage to setting it up with Google SSO and
having tighter privileges and having them based around a workspace that has centralized management for the OpenTofu organization?
Mm-hmm.
With the idea that multiple people can have administrative privileges and those are handled in a secure way.
In my mind, and I think we already do this for Neon. It's all a mess. This is the problem. Neon uses GitHub, and I would love to use GitHub authentication for all of these tools where possible, right? Because then we can go and do everything through the GitHub organization. Cloudflare's Google plus invites. It's not full workspace allowed. There's been questions in the past about whether or not we even need the Google Workspace. And if we should just get rid of that and just use GitHub and our own work emails. I think if we want to go and chase automating everything with SAML and making sure everyone has access to the right things, maybe we should be discussing this on Slack, and I'm happy to do that. I don't think we should do it in a recorded video in the public talking about how we log into everything. When it comes to making sure what companies have access to what and who has access to what, I think we were already kind of managing this with our info thing, and I'm happy to go and share details about that and talk about it on Slack.
Got it. Okay.
That might actually be closer to what I was thinking, which is just more like an actual audit somewhere of like, right, somebody has access to this, somebody.
It's really
Here's our
hard to
main
hear you.
person.
Like really
Sorry.
hard.
This always comes with this call. I don't know why. But my point is more just making sure that we have it audited somewhere, that like, here's the point of contact for whatever, reason one, just having to constantly chase Sebastian for some CNCF OpenTofu Day stuff. Is that the right person, or does that need to be somebody else? I'm fine. It's more it's the offset of being more democratic, but then kind of keeping track of that still in the future, and making sure stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. Just being a little bit better organized as a steering committee.
We should draw up a document of who owns what and how it's handled, especially when you talk about Sebastian with the CNCF stuff. I believe that he's the easiest to go and talk to about some of the CNCF stuff, right? But it's not the right way to go and do things. We should technically be doing things through the CNCF service desk. So yeah, we should go and write this up somewhere for everybody. I do have a document somewhere. Sadly, we had to use this document to make sure that this person was removed from every system when they left the job. So maybe we can tweak it to be in a happier tone of who do you talk to if you need access.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's okay. I can follow up with you offline. Fine. Thanks.
Yep. I'm happy to go and share details offline about costing and things like this as well. I think Spacelift is paying for all the tech stuff, and I think Scalar pays for GitHub and Slack. So yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
Anything?
time for the last thing, that's TerraGrunt and OpenTofu.
Yes.
Want to give folks a heads up that on October 6th, I believe it was the release of TerraGrunt 0.89. And with that, we introduced automatic enablement of the OpenTofu concurrent provider cache directory that was introduced in 0.10, I believe, or 1.10, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that drives additional OpenTofu adoption. And I'm curious to see whether that theory holds true. We might add some more, tooling into TerraGrunt to add what are called tips, to be like, hey, you're using Terraform and you've enabled certain features. You could switch over to using OpenTofu if you're using OpenTofu greater than 110 and get faster performance out of the box. So if you do see things change in TerraGrunt or in OpenTofu adoption as a consequence of this release, I would really like to know it. Because we're hoping that things like this can move the needle on adoption of OpenTofu. You're muted, James.
Sorry, yeah, I think the hopefully this does drive some adoption. Performance is definitely a feature, especially when you've got a graph like this. So this is comparing run all init of TerraGrunt without provider caching to with provider caching.
And the
different types
of using the provider cache server.
Awesome. I think this is a great example of the tools working well together here. Especially as TerraGrunt is scaling up with stacks and things like this, having people with multiple projects that run initialization across all of them. Yeah, cool.
Right.
Have you had anyone come to you with any issues about this? I believe there was one issue a while back about some lock contention, but I don't think there's been anything since, right?
So I've seen it. Trying to set up some internal tooling at Gruntwork to use the provider cache directory instead of using the provider cache server. There is a scale at which it's still useful to use the provider cache server.
Okay.
It's very hard to get a deterministic once you hit this many providers being downloaded at this scale, all at the same version, the file system block contention is worse than the synchronization via the server. Like figuring that out has been proven to be extremely difficult. And that's why I haven't reported those issues as something that can be tackled. So far it looks like it's like a drop-in win for everybody. When they start using this release, they're like, performance is better. I don't care how. And I'm not using the fancy extra features that are opt-in. So that's the signal we've been getting.
Awesome. I love this kind of messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see it. Can you disable it? Am I missing this part?
Yeah, that's right under it.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that was my only, because I had the sync up with Terragrunt right before this call. That's the only thing that we wanted to make sure we brought up in the call.
I'm glad it's working for you. I'll pass on the message to Christian, who developed this. He's at a conference this week, All Things Open. So I'll pass it on. He'll be happy about that one.
I totally missed the call out in this. Thank you for reminding me. I should update those release notes and specifically thank Christian for his artwork.
Oh, he'll appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I don't think he's looking to be noticed on the internet. I shouldn't speak for him.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. I'll make sure to note them.
Okay. Is there anything else for us to discuss today? Nope. If not, I think we can call it there. Yusuf, I'll DM you another Google Meet link in case you wanted to chat.
Sounds good.
Roger, Larry, anything from you guys?
Nothing that can't be brought up in internals on the Slack channel.
Awesome. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take it easy, everybody.